Hello friends, welcome to Drishti IAS Awake program. Awake stands for Answer Writing and Knowledge Enrichment program, and it is basically for your mains preparation. So let us see the features of the Awake program. Now this Awake program is mainly focused on improving your answer writing skills and also giving you a discussion on topics and some value added points for the questions which are expected to be asked. Myself Abhishek Mishra, and I will be taking your Awake classes for international relations. So basic format of these classes for the entire program is that there will be 65 plus classes for all the subjects. Now the course mode will be online classes via the Drishti Learning App. The validity of this course will be unlimited view time and up to 6 months. Now this is a special crash course designed to improve performance in your UPSC CSE Mains exam 2023, and the program basically focuses on two important things. One is it will identify the potential topics or questions that can be asked in the mains exam this time, and also to help you to improve your answer writing skills. Along with this, you will be getting the free mains capsule book series of Drishti IAS, and you will also get free UPSC previous year's mains solved papers book, which will also be very handy for the exam preparation. Now, how I will be taking the IR classes for your Awake program. So let me discuss about that. Before going to the important IR topics and how we will be going about it, let me just tell you something about answer writing. Now always students are very much concerned about answer writing. In fact, the beginners, they want to get into this answer writing mode from the very starting day of their preparation, but it is not always possible because you need to have some idea about the content, then only you can move forward. So answer writing, I can divide it into two parts. One is the content and other is the presentation, right? Both are important. If we know what to write, that is basically the content, and if we know how to write, then that is the presentation. So both are important, but yes, I will give more weightage to content. 75% weightage is of the content. If you are writing what is making sense, then you will get better marks, but you will not get that better marks if you are writing very poorly, your handwriting is not good, or if you are cutting the lines or words, right, spelling mistakes are there, grammatical errors are there, it is not a neat and clean presentation. So all of this is part of the presentation, so that will bring down your marks. So both are needed, content, what to write, and presentation, how to write. If you look at the content part more closely, then it is all about understanding the demand of the question. Every question that is being asked, so the paper setter has some idea that what he or she is expecting from the students to write. So we need to understand the demand of the question, the most important part. And how do we understand the demand of the question? By reading the question a few times and trying to connect it with the recent happenings or what we know about the topic, that okay, this might be what the question is asking of us, and then we write. Sometimes what happens, we just pick the keyword and we try to write whatever we know about it, but it is not a good idea because we may be not answering as per the demand of the question. So it is very important that we answer not what all we know, but what has been asked in the question itself. So we need to read the question few times to understand what exactly has been asked, and if there are parts of the question, then how much weightage we have to give to each part of the question. And if there are any directive words, for example, if there is a word like comment, that means we have to give our opinion. If a directive word discuss is there, that means we have to examine the issue from both sides, right? That we have to basically see the pros and cons of an issue. And similarly, there can be some other directive words as well. Okay. So, basically we have to focus on understanding the demand of the question. So, in the classes when we discuss any particular topic, a question will also be there, and we will see how we have to attempt that question, right. And in international relations, mostly the topics that are asked or the questions that are asked are dynamic, that is current oriented topics. If you look at the presentation, so always there is a confusion in the student's mind about whether to use bullets or paragraphs for answer writing. Now both are fine. So it also depends on the individual with which approach one is more comfortable. Some are more comfortable writing in paragraphs, some are more comfortable using bullets. So both approaches are fine, but again this should be decided based on the type of question that we are answering. Suppose if the question is about enumerate or list, then which approach is better? Definitely bullets approach would be better, right? In points we can write. If it is more about analyzing a situation, right? Analysis is demanded, then maybe paragraph would be better. And in most of the questions we will find that we have to use what is called a hybrid approach. So maybe some bullets will be used, some paragraphs will be used. Even while using paragraphs, we have to keep in mind that we should use small paragraphs. That means 2-3 lines paragraphs. Secondly, the presentation is also improved when we use some visual representation, right? And that can be done using diagrams, flow charts, maps, etc. So when you are reading an important topic that has this potential of being asked in the exam, then we should be also prepared with some kind of diagrams or flow chart or any map that we can draw in that question. This will make our answer stand out and we will get more marks for it. So in my higher classes, I will be also telling you where you can go for some flow charts or diagrams or maps, etc. Right. So this is a very important way of doing value addition to your answer, right. But the examination hall is not the time to think about it. So we will be doing this in our awake classes itself. Now very important but often neglected part is the handwriting. Obviously handwriting of an individual is something that cannot be changed overnight, because it is something that has taken a lot of years for us to reach to this stage. But what we can do, we can make our handwriting more legible by writing more clearly. See, idea is to write more clearly so that it is not straining the examiner to read your answer. So proper spacing has to be there, it has to be neatly written, and if you make a mistake and if you have to cut something, then use a single stroke rather than doing something like this. Okay. So these are the things we need to be very careful about. So legible handwriting, no spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors as far as possible, right? That will improve your impression on the examiner and you will end up getting little more marks. Another way of improving the presentation is by the use of subheadings and underlining important points. So this also is to be used. Sometimes students also overdo it. If you underline each and every word in your answer, then obviously it loses its significance. So it has to be done very sparingly, but it should be done because it immediately catches the attention of the examiner. Oh, this is an important point. So this is also a very good technique of getting better marks, right? So this is about the content and presentation. Now some general tips about answer writing. So the GS demands to the point answers, right? The paper, the nature of the paper is such that it does not give us lot of room for writing whatever we know. We have to stick to what has been asked. So it demands to the point answer, because there is a word limit as well as there is a time limit. Now we have to do 20 questions in a GS paper in around 180 minutes. If I take out 10 minutes for doing whatever formalities we have, writing our name and so on, and also reading the question paper, etc. So we are left with only 170 minutes for 20 questions. So more or less for every question, we have around 7.5 to 8 minutes per question, right? So we have to be very, very careful that we do not write anything which is extra, which is not required, and which will not give us any weightage, right? So let us be very pinpointed in our answers. So approximately 7.5 to 8 minutes is there. We should be using around 1 to 2 minutes to read the question, 1.5 to 2 minutes to further brainstorm and jot down points. Then the remaining almost 4 minutes we have used. So remaining 4 minutes we have to write the answer. Right. And it may seem difficult at the beginning, but as you practice, it will become very automatic and you will be able to do it. Plus, sometimes it may so happen that out of the 20 questions in a GS paper, maybe you know only 18 questions. There are 2 questions which you do not know or you know very less. So rather than attempting those questions at the very beginning, we should attempt such questions at the very end, and we should not be wasting much time on them. Whatever relevant thing we know about those questions, we should definitely write, because every half mark, every 1 mark is very important for clearing the cutoff, plus also you're deciding your final rank. So we should not be leaving any question. But suppose we don't know 1 or 2 questions, then we have to optimize that extra time that we have got from those 1 question or 2 questions, and we need to try to make our answers better in the other questions, right? So very important that we keep to the time limit, and word limit is also very important, because when we'll write extra, we'll consume more time. So if a question has to be answered in 150 words, and if you are writing 10 words in 1 line, that means your answer should be around 15 lines. Yes, you can do plus minus 20 words in those answers, right? So maybe 1 or 2 lines extra or less is fine, and you need not count each and every word of your answer. Just have an average idea of how many words you write in one single line, and just multiply it with the number of lines you are writing. Similarly, for a 200 word answer, it should be around 20 lines if you are writing 10 words in 1 line. Okay. So similarly you can do it. Now another important thing is you have to read the question 2-3 times and brainstorm. This is very important, so that we truly understand what exactly has been asked, rather than just looking at a keyword and writing whatever we know about it. That is a strategy which often leads to poor score. So we need to comprehend the question fully, understand the demand of the question, and write our answer accordingly. Finally, and most importantly, practice is the key. We need to practice answer writing, and answer writing practice plus always seeking feedback from what we are writing. One should also learn the art of self-evaluation. So once you have written the answer, maybe after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or after 1 hour, you can just read the question again and also read your answer. So you'll find that, okay, maybe I missed out on certain points, and then you can try to improve it in the next question or the next answer that you write. So similarly, you have to continuously seek feedback and keep improving. Writing is the best way to get better, right? Writing more and more answers is the way to get better, and there has to be day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on, for us to become one day masters in answer writing. Okay, so it will always be a work in progress. Do not be worried about it, but yes, be ready to work hard for it. Okay, now after having discussed all of this, let me just tell you that what will be the way in which we will be doing the higher topics in these awake classes. So, in the for the higher topics and the awake classes, what I will be doing, we will be discussing the most important topics. For UPSC Mains 2023. And for these topics, I will tell you that what should be the value added points that you can use, plus any kind of flow chart or line diagram that we can use in our answer writing. So, I will be giving you those value added points also, telling you about the important topics, and we will also look at the sample answer writing, as in for a question what should be the way in which we can write the introduction, then how we have to present the content in a body, and most importantly, in all the answers that we write, we also need to conclude the answer. It is very, very important in GS. You can ignore the introduction, right? You can come straight to the point in answering the GS questions, but conclusion is a must. Conclusion is very much required, and we should try to sum up whatever we have, whatever we are trying to say in the answer in 2-3 lines. So, conclusion for every answer is very, very important. In IR, mainly the topics are current oriented, so we can easily see that which topics are going to be very important for this year's mains. So, the topics are, for example, the Prime Minister's visit to the US. So, that is a very, very important topic. So, India-US relations becomes very important. So, I am just giving you a very indicative list of which kind of topics we will do. Prime Minister has also gone to Egypt. So, India-Egypt relations also becomes important for this year's mains. Then lot of talk about India becoming the voice of the global south. So, global south has been in news. So, we will also look at the global south and what exactly it means. Then the important summits G20 and SCO, which India is hosting this year, right. Then obviously our relations with our neighboring countries, our nuclear doctrine, because it is now 25 years of Pokhran 2, right. So, we will be looking at the current relevance of the topics and covering it in this awake class, and I will be telling you how we should be framing the answer, how we should be giving the introduction if needed, and in body how we have to arrange the matter. If we can have any diagram, flow chart, right, or any map, then it can also be used, and finally how we should be concluding an answer, right. So, all of this will be covered in this awake IR classes. So, I look forward to seeing you in the classroom. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.